Yesterday, I was this close to giving up on this challenge. Have you ever felt like that when doubt creeps in and the resistance feels overwhelming? Today, I want to share with you how I almost let it stop me, but didn't, and how you can cut through when you're feeling the same way too. Hello, it's Fiona here from Philosophies. I'm on day 8 of my Snowdrop Visibility Challenge, and yesterday I received a comment on my video post. It was from my husband, and he said, "It's your best yet." And I was thrilled because he is my greatest supporter, but he can also be my greatest critic. He's the son of a renowned film reviewer and a keen film aficionado himself, so his feedback did mean a lot to me. Until that moment, I hadn't even realized he'd been watching my videos, which I suppose might say something about my earlier attempts. And I was delighted to receive this comment, but then the thought hit me, well, how can I top that? And that's when resistance kicked in. I've had a lot of late nights this week getting these videos out, and by that point, I was feeling quite exhausted, and I was wondering to myself, what have I let myself in for? I've never run a marathon, but I can imagine that when the runners reach that doubt stage, the point where fatigue sets in and the full reality of the distance ahead strikes them, even if they are trained for it, except I hadn't trained for this at all. Like the fool in the tarot, I just jumped straight in the deep end without thinking it through. So I did what I always encourage others to do. I extended myself a little bit of self-compassion. I even contemplated taking a day off. After all, I'm all about honoring the seasons, right? But then, as if guided by spirit, I came across a post while I was scrolling because, let's be honest, that's what I was doing. The post was a list created by a manifestation teacher called Elmer Locker Jr. All the points are valuable nuggets of wisdom, but there was one in particular that caught my eye. Non-negotiable discipline. Do what you say you will. Dopamine detox helps. So the last part was ironic, given that I was falling down a social media rabbit hole at the time instead of filming my video, but the first part really got to me. Non-negotiable discipline. I realized in that moment that every time I've given up on myself, every time I've made excuses instead of following through, I was signaling to myself that I couldn't be trusted, that I break my own boundaries. That habit has eroded my self-esteem in the past, making me feel like I don't have what it takes to follow through. And right here, right now, I am refusing to keep reinforcing that story. I started this challenge to show up imperfectly, to experiment, and to help inspire you to do the same. Self-trust wasn't a factor at first, but if I'm going to complete this challenge, I have to call on that part of me that fully honors my commitments. Why? Because on the other side of non-negotiable discipline lies freedom, unshakable confidence, effortless flow, and exponential growth. No more mental chatter of should I, shouldn't I, just action. Confidence is not something you wait for, but something you build by following through. Deep down, I know that discipline feels rigid at first, but once embodied, it will become second nature, just like learning to ride a bike. It is okay to stumble and to take a few steps back on the way, maybe make it part of the dance, but I know that continuing to practice small, consistent steps will compound over time. So I felt now is the time to keep going in the spirit that I started. I've struggled with discipline over the years. It's always felt restrictive. For my fellow astrologers, think Saturn, the energy of rules and limitations. But the irony of it is, On the other side of those boundaries and restrictions lie the very expansion, growth, and enjoyment that we dream of. So I'm choosing to release my long-held belief that discipline keeps me stuck and frustrated, and instead embrace the truth that non-negotiable discipline is what helps to move me forward. I've also been leaning into my support networks. I've been sharing my progress behind the scenes, and having people who witness and cheer me on has made all the difference. I'm not just doing this for myself, I'm doing it for them too, and that's hugely inspired me. So if you too are at a point where doubt in your path is creeping in and your resolve might be starting to waver, where it might feel easier to just stop, I invite you to remember this. Every time you follow through, you're building self-trust. Every time you lean into resistance, you discover a new opportunity to expand. Every time you honor your commitments, you become the person who just does the thing, and it gets easier and easier. Keep on going. You've got this. Now, I'd love it if you tell me in the comments what helps you when you feel like giving up. What helps you to keep on going? Let's share and support each other. And if you're interested in joining a space to grow in alignment with nature's seasons and cycles, I've created an online community called Dive into the Unknown. It's a sanctuary for heart-centered souls to support one another's magical momentum on our creative journeys. So here I am showing up, and I hope this reminds you that you can too. Just keep on going. You're doing better than you think. Thank you so much for tuning in. Look forward to seeing you tomorrow, and take care. Bye-bye.